Hello, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. I am Asia and I'm an urban gardener growing in a small space in my backyard. If you saw my video on Monday, you know that I have started planting out my fall garden. But tonight, it is a garden tour night, and so I am going to go through the garden, show you what's left from summer, what I'm planting for fall, and then I'm also going to do a little bit of harvesting because we have some cherry tomatoes that can go. We have some eggplant that can go. That's probably it, but you know what? It's the end of the summer and that makes perfect sense that I don't have a lot left. Also, we have some peppers that can go. So let's go ahead and see what's going on in my mixed up summer and fall garden. So we are gonna start with what is left from summer in my garden. What is left from summer in my garden is cantaloupe. There's only one plant left, and this cantaloupe is pretty small, and it's not even a cantaloupe. It is some kind of melon, but it's a very heavy melon. So I think my daughter is going to enjoy that. The total season, we got 4 melons. She ate each one of those melons at one time. So like one melon ripened, she ate that melon. The next melon ripened, she ate that melon. And so this is the last melon and she is killing me with the, hey, can you just pull the melon? And I'm like, no, it's not gonna taste the same. The other things that are left from summer in my garden are the peppers. And so I cleared the shishito peppers the other day to go with some pot stickers that we were eating. It's amazing, the difference in the taste straight off of the peppers. Those are a few of the peppers. They used to be right here. And so I had kind of gotten tired of like shuffling my body through them, and so I wanted my walkway back, and so I do have the walkway back now. I laid more cardboard. There are bricks holding the cardboard down because it wasn't wet and I didn't wet it up, and so the peppers are sporadically placed throughout the garden. I just showed you those ones. This is like shishito, cayenne, I'm not really sure. Oh, that's a Jimmy Nardello, all right here. Right here, you'll remember this is where the tomatoes were. So I went ahead and filtered in some peppers. These are potatoes. I just had a horrible potato year, y'all. It's cool. And these are the carrots. I never got around to reseeding this bag, but this bag is looking really good. And those are carrots. I'm not sure how long ago I planted those out, but I planted them in the bag and then I put them in a shaded space and they look really good. Another thing that's left over from summer are the strawberry plants. And so they are perennial. They send out runners. This spot will have strawberries in it for quite some time until I pull them out. I still need to go through this bed and pull out the runners that have rooted themselves because this is very full and I am sure it's too many strawberry plants in this spot. I've also cut back all of the herbs. So this is all mint. That is lemon balm. There's chamomile in here. And there's a small one trying to grow. And then there's more mint down here. And so that's what I did with the pots that were behind the beds over here, because the rest of the peppers are around these beds. And so that's where I moved them to. We also have eggplant still growing. The plants look horrible, but they're still giving me eggplant. Pretty excited about that. We still have one marigold left. That's the last lone marigold that's in the bed, but it's so pretty and it's so big, and so I'm just leaving it. I think I've said that before. The sweet potatoes are still here. I still haven't decided when I'm going to pull these. I know I can go until my first frost. That's probably what I'm going to do. Just let them start to die back, and then I will go ahead and pull them. We still have some strawberries in the pots. This one died. I wasn't watering it like I was supposed to, so that's dead, but I can just replant another one. These are my last 2 basil plants, but I'm happy to have those because I use basil water. I make pesto, so I'm excited to have those. Any tomatoes that were left in bags, I put them all in this one spot. So I think there's like 15 of the main tomatoes. This is that tomato sucker that I had pulled off of a plant, and I said I was gonna see what it'll do. So I went ahead and put that sucker in there too, and it is growing. It was much smaller than that. So we'll see if I actually get any tomatoes off of it. And so yeah, there are little tomatoes starting to grow. I don't know that I'm gonna actually get to harvest all of them for the first frost, but there are a good amount of decent size tomatoes in this. There's another one up there in this mess of tomatoes, and they're still growing. Yep, there's some down here too. So Pepper Row has moved to the back section of the garden in front of the flower bed. And so this is where I have moved most of the taller pepper plants, and we have peppers growing on them kind of everywhere. So it's the second flush of peppers that are still here, and this is why I grow my peppers in bags, because they will just keep producing until you get to your first frost. The determinate tomato that's way up there, these are still growing too, and so that's why I didn't pull them, because they are definitely still giving off new tomatoes, and I'll take that. The next area are the cherry tomatoes, which they do not look anywhere near as good as they normally do each year, but they are still producing. These are some of the things, I dropped one, that need to be harvested this evening. And I only really take the really orange ones and the really red ones. The artichokes were planted out in spring, and so they didn't do really well, but they are still there, so that's a good thing. I think artichokes prefer a little bit of cooler weather, and so they are starting to grow back. This is a straw flower that I randomly planted there. It did not die, but it also did not give me any straw flowers yet, but I think it will. If you look there, might be thinking about giving me some straw flowers. And then there was the loofah plant that did not produce a loofah, but I'm not upset about it. I would just try again next year. There are so many flowers up top right now, and so they're closed right now, but they were open when I got home. But yeah, they're there for pollination too, so the pollinators are using it, and I'm okay with that. The amaranth is still beautiful. It's grown to the size that it's gonna get, but it's still really beautiful. So I know it's a good plant for that can do some drought and some hot weather. I'm definitely gonna grow more of this next year. I believe the beetles were eating this. I don't really see them as much as I was seeing them, so this is just the aftermath of them. The blueberries are looking good. Have a little bit of browning on this one. It may be a watering issue, but in general, the plants look good. Hopefully next year, springtime, I'll remember to cover them so we can actually eat a good amount of blueberries. So the asparagus is still sending out new asparagus, but also dying at the same time. I'm not really sure how that works, but this is my second year with this asparagus. So I am excited because next year when this asparagus starts to poke out of that ground, I'm gonna be able to eat it. I'm super excited about that. I cannot wait to actually taste asparagus that I grew. Labor of love, waited so long, and I'm gonna eat it. Is the flower bed that I need to do some work on. I have been starting to actually cut the flowers and take them in the house since we're getting to the end of summer, and I want to be able to have flowers inside of the house for the little bit of time that we have left. So this is a mix of dahlias and zinnias, sunflowers over there. I did put in some more calendula down here, and then like this zinnia is just sad looking. So this weekend I'm going to work on the flower bed since I have already worked on like getting the vegetables out. And the last thing that I guess you would call summer are the second set of beans that I planted. And I harvested those, I think yesterday, so there aren't a lot on here, but we are getting a smaller harvest. I did not do well with beans this year. And then those are the bush beans. I mentioned them in the video on Monday. They look bad. I just left them because if for nothing else, they could give the soil some nitrogen. I was thinking about pulling them, but I chose not to do that. And so now we will move on to fall. We have raspberries, some roses, some herbs and things like that over in the orchard area, but I don't want to fight the orchard area right now, so I'll do a little pan for you. That's the orchard area. We're gonna move on to fall. I did show you what I was planting and what I was gonna grow for fall in my video on Monday, but since this is a garden tour, I will show it again. And maybe you're new here, so you didn't see that. I also put a link to the video from Sunday below. In case you missed it, you can go back and watch it. So here you have Swiss chard, you have Georgia Southern collards, Then you have Morris heading collards here, a little more Swiss chard, and this is all dinosaur kale. Oh, in this bed, this is spinach. It was not as overcast or cloudy as the weather said, and so this spinach here is not looking good. I can try and direct sow this spinach, so we'll see. Rutabaga, we have a little bit coming up. I reseeded this yesterday. Right here you have some cabbages in the front. Looks like the sun might have gotten to them, but the little leaves in the middle look fine. And so for me, that means leave it and let's see what happens. You have calendula here, and that's also a calendula there. This is broccoli. This is broccoli. Up under those tomatoes is broccoli rabe, and all the way in the back is more Brussels sprouts. My little extra red Russian kale looks horrible, so I probably won't be able to give that to my mother or use it. That's from the sun today. Right here is turnips, so they are slowly still germinating. So you can see right there, there's more that's germinating, so just giving that more time, but the germination looks way better than the rutabaga. You have cabbage here, calendula here. This is broccoli. There's Swiss chard there. There was actually 3 Swiss chard, and they are gone. So I'm going to direct sow the Swiss chard in those 2 spots right there. And then there's broccoli, and Brussels sprouts in the back. Over here you have more kale. They were extra plants. You have some calendula here. And so these 2 look a little sad from the sun today. I'll keep my eye on those. And if necessary, I will plant more of those out as well. And yesterday I mentioned that the peas were coming up. We have even more today. I think maybe the soil wasn't kept moist, and so they just never sprouted, but they're starting to come up. I'm excited about that. I don't know how many peas I'm actually going to get off of it because it's so late, but we have about 60 or so days left in our growing season, so I may be able to get a few peas off of there, kind of for snacking. That's what I'm thinking. All right, so we have the bed over here that is mostly kale. So this is all kale here, and then you have collards here. There's cauliflower. These 2 are cauliflowers, and if you move all the way back down this bed, there's 2 more cauliflower, and I had an extra Brussels sprout, and so I threw that in there too. Also, completely forgot to mention that in the front of this bed, there are onion seeds. Also in the front of this bed, there are onion seeds. I am trying to find spaces that will still get sun once these plants get really big, so that I can grow onions like around the beds. A few people have mentioned to me that, you know, I should probably put some soil into the holes of the bricks and grow onions and different things in those. And I really do want to. I just don't want to actually fill the holes of the bricks. So maybe I will start doing it slowly and then planting onions in each one of those, and eventually I will have all of the holes in the bricks filled and I can grow more onions. Also would be a good place for me to grow leeks, I think. So maybe I will do that soon so that I can get my leeks planted, because I never decided where I was going to plant the leeks. So I have mentioned a couple of times that I am working on getting the compost out of the compost bin, and I'm bagging it up, putting in bags that I had gotten compost or dirt out of from the store. And so I got 3 done so far. But that is what's left to continue to pull out and to sift. And then I will turn this pile over into that pile. I will also clean out the chicken coop, clean out the quail coop, and clean out the chicken run when I do that, which is why I really need to get that done, because I want to go ahead and clean them out and get them set for fall and winter. I've started to put beds to sleep, and so this looks pretty gross, but what it is grass that someone bagged up for me, and I left the grass in the bag, so it started to break down. And so I just put this over top of the bed so that, you know, when it snows this year, when it rains really hard, it won't erode and wash away my soil. And so any bed that I'm not using, that's what I'm going to do, because most of the grass in those bags look like that. And so I don't want to try to cover any seeds or anything with it, because it is pretty matted. but it'll break down also throughout the fall and winter. But I have probably 1, 2, 3, 4 beds that are on the perimeter of the garden that don't get a good amount of sun. So that's one there, this is one here, and then this one over here, these 2 over here, they don't get a good amount of sun, and I'm pretty sure of that because of the fence and because of the trees. So I'm not going to be using them to plant this year for fall because I just don't see the point in giving myself extra work to do and then everything grows like super slow or not at all. As you can see over here on the fence, I've started to stack my bags. I think I mentioned before, I'm not going to empty those bags. I did that last year and it was a lot of work to refill those bags. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave the bags, leave the soil, and when it is time to plant in spring next year, I'm just gonna amend that soil with some compost and some granulated fertilizer, kind of the same way that I do these beds. And so I feel like if it works for the bed, it should work for the bags. So that is the garden when I am transitioning over to fall, but don't want to let some things go for summer. So there's a mix of things. I wouldn't call this a fall garden tour. I would call this a mixed garden tour. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to visit me over on Instagram at Miss Asia Spratly, where I post about the things going on in the garden every day. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.